Yeah. I know you got problems, know you at the bottom, know you took a loss today. Everybody want bottles, living for a throttle, you just want ball today. Tell me joy, where it's hiding, I've been trying to find it before I go all the way. Cause everybody got problems, everybody starving, but don't you go off today. Yeah.
Yo, this is the All Done Podcast, and level spelled backwards is level, and you got to balance it. Welcome today. My name is Tracy Branch. That's my boy Mike. How you feeling today, Mike?
I'm good, my brother. Starting off the morning with dropping gems on him.
I'm just trying to keep it fun, man. I'm just trying to keep it fun. It's another beautiful day here on the All Done Podcast, and I was just trying so hard in my mind to search for a topic about what we would discuss today.
What would we talk about? Like, it's not like the world on fire or nothing, right?
Nah. All jokes aside, I mean, I think the obvious topic of today is the events that went down in D.C.
Dum today.
Pretty interesting week that we've had. And I'm glad we only do this podcast once a week because it was good that we got time to digest everything that has transpired and things that are continuing to unfold. So this should be interesting.
It should. I mean, really, honestly, though, like, is it a lot to digest? Like, are we shocked that the dominant society is throwing temper tantrums or whatever?
No.
That's what this is. This is a temper tantrum over an L.
General George Washington's soldiers were freezing cold, fighting for independence against tyranny, domination, and control. It was their moment to stand up and fight for freedom. To many, January 6th is such a moment.
The battle for the White House is now a full-fledged struggle for the survival of this constitutional republic.
We, the people, are in control of the United States, and we will take our rights back.
74 million Americans are not going to shut up.
This is about taking a stand where you can take a stand.
We need to fight back. We win because of our ideas. We lose elections because they cheat us.
We're going to keep fighting until every illegal vote is thrown out.
They rigged the election in front of all of us, and nobody did anything about it.
Call your congressman and feel free. You can lightly threaten them. If you don't start supporting election integrity, I'm coming after you. Madison Cawthorn's coming after you. Everybody's coming after you.
We're not timid folk. We're people who understand when there's a challenge in front of us, we rise to the challenge. We fight, finish, keep.
It is time to stand and fight. The swamp isn't truly drained until we've nailed the hides of the alligators to the wall.
We need to fight back. We need to strike at the heart of their power. We need to show that the next revolution is just getting started.
The ruling would be that you got to go to the streets and be as violent as Antifa and BLM.
Will we stand up for freedom as Samuel Adams and his fellow patriots did?
If we don't fight on January 6th on the floor of the Senate and the House, that is the joint meeting of Congress, on these electors, we're done. It's time for everybody to stand up and be heard.
President Trump won this election, so everyone who's listening, do not be quiet. We cannot allow this to happen before our very eyes.
Liberty-loving patriots that will not let them steal this election.
We have to fight this out for the American people. This is our 1776 moment.
Get it right. They stole it. Right. We need to take it back for the people.
It's time for conservatives to show that backbone.
Republicans, grow a backbone and fight. We are in this fight to the bitter end. We are going to take our country back.
We need to march on the Capitol today, and we need to stand up for this country.
We're fighting for the future of this country.
We're going to keep fighting. I implore you to keep fighting too.
Freedom isn't cheap, but you know what? Imagine this, that you get to go back home once you conquer the hill.
Patriots here ready to fight, certainly have the back of the president. If you're going to be the zero and not the hero, we're coming for you, and we're going to have a good time doing it. Don't be suppressed. Don't be put in your corner.
We will not go quietly into the night.
We will defend liberty. Today is the day American patriots start taking down names and kicking ass.
Let's have trial by combat.
They're not taking this White House. We're going to fight like hell, I'll tell you right now. We're going to the Capitol. You'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and we're going to have to fight much harder. We fight like hell, and if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
This is a lot of things I think we can get into exactly. I think it's definitely deeper than that, though. I've heard that critique that it's temper tantrum. Oh no, it's deeper than that. Oh, it's deeper than that.
Okay.
But let's where do we start? Want to get the backstory?
Yeah, let's start with the backstory. So as we know, President Trump has been saying it's pretty much since before the election, if we lose, it was rigged. I was cheated, the election was stolen, all types of rhetoric, and people believe that. And they, so at one point he said, well, when they go to confirm the election or whatever, we're going to march down Pennsylvania Avenue, and people believe that. And that's exactly what they did. They marched down Pennsylvania Avenue to the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. They stormed the Capitol, to say the least. They breached the building. They, climbed walls. They broke windows. They was, they rioted. Let's just sum it up. They rioted. So that's where we at with it.
Yes. And that day, so like during the campaign trail, we heard the rhetoric about if it doesn't go our way, then, stand back and stand by type of energy. But the day of, I believe it was January 6th, there was a speech. He gave a speech, I believe it's down the street, right? From the Capitol.
Yeah. He was somewhere close.
And then, he instructed them, his followers, to march, and Congress was certifying the election. Mm-hmm. And he told his followers to march down to the Capitol building, and I don't want to misquote him, but to paraphrase, encourage them to reconsider their decision.
Now it is up to Congress to confront this egregious assault on our democracy. And after this, we're going to walk down, and I'll be there with you. We're going to walk down. We're going to walk down anyone you want, but I think right here, we're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women. And we're probably not going to be cheering so much for some of them, because you'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength, and you have to be strong.
Absolutely, that's where we at with it. So what's our jumping point from there? Because it's so much there with it. You feel me?
I want to definitely, before we get going, I want to preface my comments by, if I laugh or if I chuckle, I think it is because you have to laugh to keep from crying, sort of thing. Like this is a really sad time in American history.
Yes.
Like this is not, but some people just have that type of sense of humor. I'm one of those people. I have a weird type of sense of humor. So some of this stuff, it is funny, but in the grander scheme of things, like when we're taking a step back, it's really not funny. So if I laugh at some of this stuff, it's because it's just, you can't make this stuff up. So it's some of it's a little funny to me.
Definitely agreed, because there was a life or two lost in this situation, so that's always serious.
Never funny.
Some may have brought their own demise. Some may have not. It's a matter of opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a serious situation, but what's laughable is what people are mad about. Because I think some people don't know what they're mad about. I think some just so filled with racism and bigotry and entitlement that they just mad about. They just want to be. They was looking for a reason to be mad about something. There was protest about Black Lives Matter, so they were looking for a reason to be mad about people being mad. Like, I'm mad because y'all mad. So it really didn't take much. It just took a few words from the from the highest office in the United States. So, you know.
Yeah, so let's start there then. Who's to blame? All right, obviously this is not a good situation. They stormed the...
You're the adult. You're the blame. No. Go ahead, bro.
So that's the question, right? Let's just start there if we can. Right? Who's to blame in this thing? Like who would you say?
I think it's a combination of things. You know, because a lot of people are quick to say, well, Trump.
Yeah.
And he does hold a certain amount of responsibility. But at the end of the day, these people went out there. He didn't hold a gun to anyone's head. He wasn't even out there with them. So at some point, like the blame is shared. You feel me? I mean,
percentage. Let's say, all right, you got the Trumpettes, the Trump folks, and then you got Trump. All right, where's the or is there a third party that should bear some of the brunt of this blame?
I believe there's more than three parties, but let's just break it down to the two. Okay. Let's break it down to the president, the man sitting in office, and then let's break it down to the people who committed the crime, because that's what it was. I'm not gonna call it a protest.
No, it wasn't a protest.
That was a crime. That was criminal what they did.
Yeah.
And so let's go. I'm gonna go 60-40.
Okay.
I'm gonna go 60-40. 40 Trump.
Okay, 40 Trump.
40 the president and 60 the people, because at some point you got to think for yourself. You feel me?
Do you? I mean, history would say, if you get a charismatic individual.
Cool. So do you think any other president could have gotten him to do that? So are they? Wait, here's the question: are they pro-American, or are they just pro-Trump?
I'm gonna say they're just pro-Trump, right? Like, but under the veil of being pro-America, right? Because they would tell you, and I'll try to get into their mindset a little bit. They would tell you they're pro-Trump because Trump is what's best for America.
Okay, that's interesting. So if they were so pro-America, why? And of course, I know you don't have the answer to this because you're not them. But why were they flying flags upside down?
Yeah.
Why were they doing some of the most un-American things you can imagine?
I mean, I seen a flag that went to war with America. I'm pretty sure I spotted a Confederate flag.
Of course, you was gonna spot a Confederate flag.
It's a rebel.
It wasn't hard to look. It wasn't that hard to find. Just turn on the TV. Boom.
That flag went to war with this country. So it's a lot of. It's a very interesting dynamic. As for who's to blame, I'm gonna go 70-30. And I'm going to put the majority of the blame on the president of the United States.
I can see that.
But that's on line with my morals and ethics, right? I'm always the system. You have to think, yes, there's individual accountability, which is where the 30% comes in. But if Trump doesn't exist, does this happen?
Valid point.
I don't know that it does. I think
it was something that's been brewing. And he's
he's
the head to the pimple.
Exactly.
He's the head to the pimple. It's been under the skin, but he's the head to the pimple. And
it's not going anywhere. And I mean, it's not like these feelings have just popped up out of nowhere from these individuals, right? Like,
absolutely.
No, right? But the only difference, the only change is him. He's the X factor. He's the variable that wasn't there before that is there now.
Yeah, and he made him feel brave to do it.
Sure. So I would go 70-30 in the way of our president, just because I feel like he definitely he put this energy out there. And then it was funny to me because even while this is going on, he's telling these people he loves them, and some of the videos that did you catch the videos? He's like sending out these Twitter videos. He's like, "Oh, we understand," and he's still saying like, "Oh no, it was rigged. It was taken from us."
But go home, yeah. He's speaking on both sides.
This is while this is happening.
Yeah.
While this is happening, this man is doing it. So it's definitely on him. And he bears definitely the brunt of responsibility for sure.
It's just I just put so much on the individual though. That's why, and well, by the individual I mean the people that were out there. Because yes, it was a mob of people, but they're individuals in the mob. They're all individuals. And
sure.
As a person, like I have things I believe in and people I believe in, but there's certain things they can tell me to do that I'm like, well, nah, that's not the best idea.
Yeah, so people lost their lives because of the rhetoric of our president.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so that is a problem that I don't think anyone has the answer to, because I don't think people expected this to ever take place. Like, I don't think anybody ever expected a sitting president to like
incite a riot.
Yeah, like be on this type of time, have this type of energy, right? Like it's poor leadership, and we've said that on this podcast.
Definitely a different time. You feel me? This is what they say, that building hadn't been breached since 1812, the War 1812 or something like that.
It's been a while. It's been a while. And I mean, the security of it, we can get into a little bit of the conspiracy.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in a minute, because,
the little things. Because that's easy. Funny too. That's funny too. But first, I do want to talk about, let's go to the comparisons about BLM over the summer. And it's fitting because you get the summer that we had with everything that went on. And then 5-6 months later, now you have Trump's folks storming the Capitol building. So it's
wait, I will say this. I've seen this a lot. There are a lot of people saying, well, no, it wasn't really Trump supporters. It was
not Antifa again.
Antifa, yeah, they like, yo, it's Antifa. Like they disguise themselves as Trump supporters, but when people were saying that during the Black Lives Matter movement, like, yo, Black Lives Matter's peaceful protest, there was agents sent to incite riots. Well, no, that's not true. So how these people?
Yeah, I have a tough time because, and that we're getting into the conspiracy thing. And I'll just say this first, like, I have a tough time. Like, there's things we don't understand in this world. There's things I don't understand in this world. But why? Give me the reason why. Like, because the secret society just wants to see the world burn in general, so they're going to facilitate some sort of division between people. Like, I don't even get the point. Like, okay, fine, it's conspiracy. Why are they doing it? Then give me the why.
Exactly. There is no why to me.
So that's why I can't really get on board with a lot of conspiracy. Now with the situation that happened at the Capitol building, it is a little fishy that was done as easily as it was done. And I have some friends that live in DC that say, listen, man, if you walk around that building the wrong way, they own you. You can't really sneeze a certain way around that building and it'd be okay. So for these individuals who, like I'll be honest, don't really seem to be criminal masterminds to me. I mean, this was done in broad daylight. There was no mask worn, like
no special planning to it or nothing.
Which is why you have to give Trump the majority of the responsibility, because these people, if sheep were people, right? Like, this is what it would be. There's no planning to this. These people are not worried about that. And then that could also speak to, maybe they understand that there's a system that's built to protect them to a certain extent.
No, that's a fact. And I don't want to use the phrase conspiracy theory anymore, because there's video evidence. It's no longer a theory. We watched people open the barricades. Now, granted, I understand barricades wouldn't just hold them anyway, because they're easily picked up and moved. But we watched people open the barricades and hey, come on in. That's what their body language said.
I heard someone say, well, think about the attack like this. Those people, it's not an attack because those people weren't brandishing weapons. They didn't roll up to the steps with assault rifles, and that's why the guards were so confused, and that's why they were trying to preserve life, which again leads to the thought that, oh my God, police can do this without using force.
Well, to that, my question is, if I don't pull a gun on you, but I punch you in the face, is it not an attack?
Apparently, no.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna write that one down.
With assault rifles, and you have to
for it to be an attack.
Yeah, for it to be an attack. I've heard that point. But it was interesting, and I just want to go back. We got a little off topic, but I do want to go back to the comparisons to what happened on the 6th to everything that happened this summer. What are your thoughts to people saying, I've heard a number of different things, but the most probably astonishing one is, why is one okay but the other is not okay? Which I have my answer, but go ahead, you tell me. Why are certain people the BLM stuff more accepted than what happened on the 6th?
Well, let's just call a spade a spade. The Black Lives Matter movement was about people being slaughtered by authority. Let's just, like I said, call it is, like slaughtered by authority, and there's no consequence to it. Right? So if people that look like you keep being killed and beaten and abused, well, eventually, it's time to fight back. Whereas this on last week was, well, we lost, but we don't want to accept that we lost an election. So let's go stop them from verifying that we lost this election. Like, so one is a cry for help and survival, where the other one is, you took my bottle from me. You know, that's how I see it. Just sum it up.
I would agree. I think that's beautifully put. It is a very big difference between George Floyd and you see an officer. Also, and we'll get into this as well, individuals mocking the George Floyd murder on the Capitol steps. Very, very interesting, but we'll get into that in a second. There is a fundamental difference between the people vote in a democracy. Now, and you listen to all the podcasts, I'm not the most thoroughest believer in democracy and what we're doing here in this country, because I think there's a lot to be desired from our democracy, from our leaders. But there's a fundamental difference between someone losing an election and kind of just making up that they didn't, and then you hear him on certain wiretaps. I don't know really what it was, but he's asking for 11,000 votes. It's a bad look, right? So you being upset because you lost this election, versus us watching not once, not twice, but time and time again, Black people kind of being slaughtered in the streets. So that I mean, it's almost too obvious, which is why I think it doesn't have anything to do with that, right? Like, that point is easily seen to me. So why I don't like to explain stuff that's obvious. That's obvious. It's not the same thing.
Right. And that's like, I have friends on both sides of the spectrum as far as Facebook goes. And it's funny, like, seeing them try to defend it. Like, well, like one girl, she was posting talking about, well, because Biden is she called him a lot of things. I think she called him like a pedophile and blah 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 blah. Which
he might be.
He might be like, yeah, like I'm not.
Be clear. Be clear. Any defense of BLM, and not even BLM, but because when you say BLM, people think Black Lives Matter. I don't know who Black Lives Matter is. I think that is irrelevant because it's starting to cloud the space. Yeah, it's starting to confuse the movement. Like, BLM is a to me, it's a statement. Yeah, it's not I'm not referring to the group. Like, whatever the group is,
because there's multiple groups that's involved. So
for sure, and you can hate them or love them, whatever. I'm not sure I really like them. Whatever. I'm not really worried about the group. I'm talking about the statement. Black Lives Matter is important because Black people were being brutalized by police officers mainly, but I mean, we see other individuals in the dominant society killing kids, Tamir Rice, like Trayvon Martin, like these things were happening. Jordan Davis, these things were happening, and so it wasn't about, oh well, we like Biden. Like I would say, if we had to poll the majority of Black America, how many of them really like Biden? How many of them are like, oh, that's the guy that's going to make our lives better. He's going to change it for us. I think a lot of people did go with the lesser of two evils concept.
Yeah, I think we're starting to be conscious on that point. Like, yo, listen, really, none of them are for us. but the lesser of the two evils. So
I don't subscribe to either.
Yeah, we already know. We talked about that.
Exactly. You know where my mind is at. But I really need people to understand that what happened over the summer it's not comparable. Now, if you want to say straight up, because I think individuals that revolted or individuals in countries that revolt against their government, I'm sure they have good reason, and I'm sure that revolution is never pretty. So if that's your point, then okay. I mean, there's a brilliant soundbite that every time I play it, I get such a big chuckle. It's the young lady, she was maced, and then she
and they pushed and maced me. That one?
No, it's the one where she says it's a revolution. And I cannot. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I can't take it.
It was funny seeing the different reactions of people throughout that thing because they all seem so heartbroken that it happened.
Oh my God. It's like, no, you were supposed to let me do this. Why are you stopping me?
And one dude was like, yeah, we were climbing, like with the lady that was shot and killed. Yeah, we were climbing through, and then they shot her. You were breaking and entering into, like Secret Service, that's their job.
It's not funny, but it's like, I don't understand, like, the mentality that, again, you have to laugh to stop from crying, because the mentality that gets a group of people to that point, like, that is fascinating. What type of mentality do you have to feel like I should be allowed to do this? Because that's what I really feel like they felt like. I should be able to do this. You've wronged me, and I should now be allowed to do this.
Well, their argument was, this is ours. This is our country. We paid for this. This is our tax dollars. This is, we deserve this. This belongs to us. But reality, slaves built this stuff, fam. So if anything,
we ain't gonna get into that because we know they don't like that argument.
They don't want to hear that argument because if anything, we this is ours. This is mine, really.
We don't want to hear that argument.
My great. You feel me?
But I do want to give those people that defend them the benefit of the doubt. I try to, right? Y'all are Americans too. I know you don't think it, but black people aren't out to get you. Democrats aren't out to get you. I'm not a Democrat, but black folks are not out to get you. We don't really care. We just, looking for some justice. That's really it.
That's why I think one of my favorite quotes I've heard, it was, they should be lucky that black people want equality and not revenge.
Yeah, man.
And that's real.
We're not looking for conflict. We just would like similar opportunities as everyone else gets.
I mean, some looking for the smoke. The people I talk to and the people I vibe with, we're not looking for smoke. We just want to be treated fairly.
Yeah, but even if you gotta, there's no, because I think that point needs to be clear. There is no fringe group out there of black people that are looking and hunting white people.
Oh, absolutely not.
But that's not a thing.
Not to my knowledge.
Like, I don't know a black KKK or a black, like, I know a couple, maybe it was 2 summers ago, they tried to label black people. The FBI came out with that whole BIE, Black Identity Extremists situation, and they were trying to put black people in this. You guys are trying to, like, that's not the energy that we're on. It's just about justice. Like, yeah, no, we're not black identity extremists, but no, you can't kill people with impunity in the streets either. Right? So I don't feel like that's...
You froze for a second.
I froze?
Yeah, just for a second. It might have just been on my end.
All right, cool. You got me now?
Yeah, you good now.
Yeah, so it's not about... No, there's no black fringe groups. Like, so when you start to talk about these different groups, and I'm not going to mention them and give them no shine, but there are white supremacist, white extremist groups, and they don't like black people. And I don't like the minority of people of color, because I'm going to stick with black people. They don't like black people. There's an issue there for them that to this day, I really don't understand what it's all about.
What the issue is, we don't know.
But a lot of people, and this is a good segue, a lot of people said, well, race has nothing to do with this Capitol thing. Like, well, then you'd have to explain the noose being there. What what is the significance of a noose at the Capitol Revolution? What is, I don't understand. That's a question I'm just struggling to answer. Like, is it a sign of you like, I don't know. I can't even come up with
a Boy Scout, so you learn how to tie a knot.
Yeah, I don't even have a witty quip for it.
Boy Scouts teaching people to tie nooses now. Like,
I don't understand. So, give me your take. What do you think? It was a noose, right? So you seen this picture and the noose that was brought to the protest?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or revolution, rather.
It was hanging from some fixture or something like that. It was just a random noose in 2021. So this is not, 1903, 18. This is 2021.
And so when you do things like that, when you have a noose at this revolution, but then you claim that this has nothing to do with race, you can't explain that. Like, what is that symbol for, if not a racial symbol?
And that's not a racial undertone. That's full blast.
No, that's an overtone.
Blast. That's definitely full blast. Or the noose is one thing, or the rebel flag, the Confederate flag. What does that have to do with
American Revolution? Yeah,
like, what does that have to do with what you're trying to accomplish? Like you said, that's somebody who fought against the United States. So if you're so America, like, well, that's not a good thing. Honestly, what they did, let's just be real, it was treasonous. I'm an American.
Yeah,
that's treason. They
and I don't like to use. I've heard a lot of those type of words. Sedition,
it is what it is.
Sedition, insurrection. I've heard a lot of these different type of words, and I feel like, again, one of my heroes, Malcolm X, he said, "Make it plain." Man. I liked it. Let's make it plain. Let's not confuse people with what happened. The reality is, you had a lot of people who were upset because their candidate lost the election, and they decided to
rage against the machine.
In so many words, but that's not the interesting part. The interesting part is always the why. Why did these people feel like it was okay, and why was it as easy to do as it was? I seen police taking pictures with these revolutionists,
helping them downstairs and
helping them downstairs. And I mean, now over the last couple of days, we've seen some of them get arrested.
Yeah,
I've seen that.
That was after the fact. They still went home and had dinner with their families, and
got their affairs in order.
Yeah, there were certain people who wanted to take some tea and Skittles home and ended up dead. You feel me? So
I'm interested in the why, and I will give my opinion on why this happens. This type of situation is facilitated because we don't have these types of conversations enough in society. And I know they're uncomfortable. I know it's uncomfortable to talk about concepts and theories like white privilege. I know, I get it. It's damning, especially as a white person that has worked and had to be successful and grinded it out. And I think they get confused when you start to talk about the word privilege. It's kind of like your reaction to the word obligation.
Absolutely.
Something about that throws you off. It's like, nah, I'm not obligated, man. Something about the word privilege to white people is like, wait a minute, I don't know privilege. I had to work my ass off. And again, if you talk to people about the concept and study the theory, it is not a theory that says you haven't worked for what you attained in this society. That's not what it's about. It's not to say it's not to say you gotta hand out, so to speak.
Yeah, but I think it's more so you didn't face certain obstacles because of who you are.
And this is clear. So I want to, again, I like to take it off. I don't like to talk about other people because then it seems like I'm always criticizing, right? So I have male privilege in this American society. So if a woman comes to me and is like, you have certain privileges as a man that I don't get to enjoy, and that has made my strive to the top and strive to success more challenging than yours, I can't in turn be like, no, I work for everything I got. I'm a man. I had to work for it. Because she's right. In our society, for a very long time, women, especially Black women, but women had to come from a certain place where it was a lot harder to get the things that they wanted to get. That's a fact. It's not a slight to me. So for all my people, my good white folk, right? Because there always has to be a disclaimer. That's in the book. There always has to be a disclaimer because you can't talk about white extremists and just have that conversation without acknowledging the good white folk. There are plenty of good white folk.
I got a few white friends. Ain't that the popular quote? I got some black friends. I got a few white friends.
But it's not, we're not talking about you. So if you're not a white extremist or you don't feel like the situation at the Capitol was warranted, then we're not speaking to you. And so you don't have to defend, idiocy. You don't have to defend crazy ideologies if they don't apply to you. If they apply to you and you have some sort of understanding to bring to the conversation, sure, I'm definitely willing to hear that. But I feel like that needs to be said. Like, obviously, we're not talking about all white folk because I think that's the bad we get into these days. Mm-hmm. All white people is not like that. Like, yeah, duh.
We group and lump people together.
Sure. But the word privilege, right? That is not a knock. It is simply speaking to historical context. And I mean, if you look at the history, you can't deny.
We've had certain privileges.
Yeah, there's been certain advantages to having fairer skin. It's not it is what it is, right? You can't deny history.
No, that's true. That's true. Like I don't even really have a rebuttal to that because that's just is what it is.
Yeah, it was one of those things I just felt like I needed to say.
Get your bars off. Get your bars off. Nah, and then what I act from, like we said, the good white folk is, it's not up for you to defend. Sometimes it's helpful just to admit it. Like you just said, yes, I've had certain privileges. Just acknowledge that. Nobody said you didn't work hard, but you were afforded certain privileges that made a difference.
And I think that's
you don't have to worry about.
Exactly. And that's the biggest, I feel like that's the why. Right. So once we get into the why, and if we start to understand, like, okay, they're doing that because maybe they are a little entitled. Because you got to be honest, if a group of individuals with their faces covered with some sort of religious attire, right? If we had some sort of religious group that walked up to the Capitol, I don't know if it would be the same. And I don't like to say that because I think, again, it's obvious. Or if a group of Black individuals walked up and they were hostile, right? So to those individuals we're talking about, they weren't brandishing guns. The energy of the interaction was not friendly.
The threat of violence.
Exactly. It's not like they walked up with tea and crumpets and were like, hey,
let's talk this out.
Let's have a conversation. Like, no, it wasn't like that. They were climbing walls, breaking windows, right?
And let's be real. How many brothers and sisters were killed for saying they had a weapon that was never seen?
A lot. In fact, I read about a couple years ago in that location.
So to say, oh well, they didn't have any weapons. Well, a lot of us don't have weapons, but and
I don't
quote unquote have a job to do. And I'm not.
Did they not have weapons, or were they not found?
I'm not sure. I don't know if they were looked for.
Yeah, because I did hear there were a couple pipe bombs here and there, which is kind of downplayed, which is hilarious to me.
I find it hard to believe that pro-Trump, Republican, whatever you call it, none of them had weapons because a lot of them are big fans of the NRA. Mm. So I live in an open carry state, so I don't go anywhere without my weapon. So it's hard to believe that people that are pro-gun and everything don't have anything on them. I just find that hard to believe.
Yeah, it's tough to just again, the pipe bomb thing was something. I guess they found 1 or 2 pipe bombs, which people are kind of not acknowledging. Like, that's sick.
Even if the intent wasn't to use them, they were around.
True. There's also the photo of the gentleman that had the restraints, the hostage restraints. I don't know if you've seen that photo.
No, sir.
Of the guy, he's jumping over something in one of the parts of the Capitol, and he has those plastic hostage restraints. So it's the energy and the intent for me is clear, right? I don't want this. People are trying to downplay this. Oh no, it's just some fools running up in the building. Nah, there was malicious intent, and you can't tell me that there was not. right? The intent was definitely to harm people, and unfortunately, there were 4 or 5 people that passed away because of it.
Yep. Absolutely. I heard one person say, "Well, the difference between that and BLM or what, they were organized." Most people weren't organized, bro. They were climbing walls and breaking windows and pushing over barricades. That's not organization.
Yeah, no, I can't. It would be tough for me to give them an A for organization on this attempt to take the Capitol building.
A certain individual, and I'm be honest, he'd be cooning for the man. But I'll off air, I'll give you his information, let you watch some of his videos. And that's one of his things. He was like, "Well, the difference between the black people and them, mind you, he's a black guy. They were organized. They were more organized." How, Sway? How? Yeah.
That is an interesting take on what happened. But again, I want to hear your side. Like, if you have a different side, I'm cool. Like, I'm not going to be triggered, I promise, because I'm not new to this dance. So at some point, if you are living in this country, you kind of have to have that adjustment ready. You have to know that certain things can have the ability to play out certain ways. Because if you don't, every time it doesn't go the way that's logical or reasonable, you might go crazy, right? Hence the Kenosha situation and them coming back and not charging those officers for what happened in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, is like on video. I seen this brother walking away. He shot in the back. It's open and closed to me, but again, so if I allow myself to get worked up over every situation, I lose my mind. And so you have to be able to emotionally handle some of the stuff that undoubtedly will come. The other piece I want to talk about is it's coming out now who some of these individuals were that were at this revolution.
Yeah.
And so I found that interesting. I believe, a West Virginia GOP lawmaker. I seen individuals that work in certain other state buildings and other places. That's another interesting part. So we have people coming from all over the world, or all over the country. Oregon, Kentucky. I'm seeing people from all over just descending
West
upon
Virginia.
DC.
I want to say one guy was from here, Mississippi, that got arrested. It's been some people.
And never mind COVID. That's cool. We're just gonna travel to go do.
Well, they don't believe in COVID anyway. That group, they believe the country should be wide open because they don't want no handouts. They want to work to make their money.
That's right. It's freedom.
Yeah, I want to work. I mean, I'd never known that society will want to do their own work and labor, but my history is different than theirs. So I'm not really sure. I keep getting off topic. Let's get back.
No. So the interesting part of some of these people and where they're coming from, and I think this is a good time to point out that these people don't just live in a cave somewhere and then they just come out to revolution, right? They are your bus drivers, your teachers, your lawmakers, your doctors, right? And so I think that is an interesting thing to think about when you hear people start to talk about systemic issues.
Wait, question. Are they your police officers too?
I would imagine that they're your police officers.
I was just wondering, continue.
I would imagine that anyone in that crowd could have, unless there's some sort of question on the civil service exam that can weed that out. I don't think that there is. Okay. So it's interesting when you start to talk about some of the systemic issues that we have in our society, and then you have, I would say, thousands of individuals that do this. And what I've been thinking about is, okay, what do they do in real life? Like when they're not revolutioning. And I think
absolutely
it's come to fruition that some of them had some decent positions, and some of them had some jobs where they were in direct positions to affect people's lives negatively or positively. And so just another caveat to think about as you start to tell us that we're in such a post-racial society. Just something to think about. To me, I don't know. What do you think?
And so now my question to that would be, how do we stop that? Is it possible to stop that? But once again, it takes the good ones to admit that, that it's a problem.
Sometimes they don't know. I think I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. So if I'm working at my job or working at a place with someone who has less than ethical ideologies, sometimes I might not know because maybe I don't take my work home with me. Maybe I'm not so buddy-buddy when I'm at work. So maybe I didn't know. But to answer your question directly, no, I don't think you can, on an individual basis, I don't think you can do that. I think you can try to deter these individuals by, once you catch them and once you catch these people doing certain things that they shouldn't do, you need to punish them to the furthest extent of the law. Because then that would deter the individuals coming behind them to try to do it again.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. And I believe there's a certain part of the society that don't want to stop them.
No, they don't.
They want them to keep doing what they're doing. Like I said, one of my favorite posts was while all this was happening, and one of my favorite posts was it said, why do y'all keep asking where the police are? Do you ever ask where Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus is at the same time? Yeah. Or do you ask where Miley Cyrus while Hannah Montana on stage?
Yeah. It seems redundant, doesn't it?
I do want to give a shout out though, just because the picture is awesome. When they was in when the Congress in chambers and they was evacuating and everybody's ducking and sitting down. Benny Thompson was still sitting in a chair. Just, I'm from Jackson, bro. Like, what we running for?
Wasn't a problem to him.
Nah, like, hey, it is what it is. Shout out to Benny Thompson.
That's a tough situation, man. I mean, to be trying to do your job and just have people run up and just,
we gotta go.
Yeah, it was probably a tough day, and so I try to be as respectful to that as I possibly can. But I do want to touch on this as well. What do you think about the media and their response to this whole revolution? I've seen some interesting ones. I've seen CNN coverage.
I think it's been split. You feel me? I think it's been split.
Mm-hmm.
I think I find funny the people that act shocked by it. Like, oh my God, I can't believe they did this. I can. My only shock is it was that easy. Like I said, our current president has been saying, like, pretty much what's going to happen if he doesn't win.
Yeah, he's warned us a number of different times. And I mean, you get several factions of people around the country who happen to be Black, who have afforded you and told you, listen, you can't just have groups of people feeling like they can revolt for no reason, right? Like, what is the purpose? Did you really think, so the end goal would have been, okay, let's say you take the Capitol, you got it, you got hostages. I don't understand where you were going with this one.
Well, they were so organized, it just didn't make sense to us, our small brains, because that's what the guy said. The difference is they're organized. Like, there was no end game. Like, and that's just like during our protest when we started looting, and that was out of anger and response, but there was no, like, looting is looting. You feel me? So
no, but that is a response. Like,
it is a response, but I'm saying there's no, like, all right, well, now I got this 50-inch TV. What? You feel me? But and
it's a punch to the structure.
It is.
That's what looting and rioting, and that's what a lot of those protests over the summer is. I am not empowered to change the system. And so I don't have any other recourse. The difference between what happened a week ago is they had a recourse. Voting, you lost. Like, try again in 4 years. Like, you have another chance to get this done. There are certain articles of impeachment. Maybe Joe Biden's going to make a mistake and you can start the paperwork or get him impeached, right? You're always telling us to trust the system.
Yeah, I got to trust
the system. You got democracy. Try to get another 4 years.
They only like that trust the system when it works for them.
Well, there you go. And you can't say that the system has failed you yet because, again, democracy is a process. We will vote again another 4 years. You'll have another opportunity. With people being murdered, that's been happening forever.
Yeah.
I can't vote my way out of that.
No.
What am I supposed to go do? And so the response when your back is against the wall, as we've said a number of times on all Done Podcasts, you're gonna have
lash out.
Right? There's going to be violence, right? There's going to be an emotional response. And that's what happened over the summer. I feel like that's, again, easy to understand, but maybe not. So Just to make it plain, right? It's an emotional response when you feel like you have no other options.
When you feel like you're not being heard.
Exactly. You were heard, individuals that stormed the Capitol. You were heard. 4 years ago, your guy won, and he was in office for 4 years. So you were heard. He did a piss poor job, but you were heard. You got your opportunity.
Yeah, no, that's facts. So I lost my train of thought. I definitely had another question.
We were talking about the media and their response and how it was. There were a few different responses going around.
No, it wasn't. Like I said, them being shocked made me chuckle. No, I do know what my question was. So we were talking about the media, and media we mean the news and social media as well. Like the responses will go both ways.
Sure.
So what do you feel like we need to do while this is happening? So us as a black people, what do we? Because I see a lot of people saying, "See, black people, I'm telling y'all to get armed." But the funny part is, like, right there, that's not our fight.
Yeah, no.
What movie was that? It was two baseball teams, and the brawl started on one team's bench, and the other team went to run over, and the coach said, "Hey, that's not our fight." Like,
I remember.
That has nothing to do with us right now.
No,
like,
I don't. So the question is, what are black people supposed to do right now? I've seen certain people post certain things. It's not our fight, and yada yada yada. And this is gonna be my morality talking, right? Because I think I would like to have a country that is the ideals of America, meaning I want a United States where all different types of people can live and come together and be with one another and it not be a problem. It's not what we have, but that's what I want, right? So when you start to think about people saying,
"You're an American," as you should.
Yeah, this is not our fight. It kind of is, right? Like, because we're not absolved, right? And so many times things will happen. Yeah, and black people get the pushback. So while for those individuals who are saying it's not our fight, yeah, this today on the 6th, that exact fight is not our fight.
But
overall, who's going to get the pushback from those people, right? Like, and so you have to be very careful when you're a part of a country and you want to see the country do well. You can't. It is, to me, backwards to just check out. Now, in that moment, do we have to rush out there? No. You could play the sideline for that event, but do not kid yourself in thinking
it will never affect us.
That it doesn't affect you, right? Because it does, and you need to be aware of that. And you need to definitely. I mean, when we talk about arming yourself, I mean that's
been an energy before that situation,
Yeah, way before that event. But I have seen that meme, and I would tell people like, "Hey man, be careful," right? Because
there's going to be some sort of backlash toward us.
It could be a problem for us. It really could.
Even in the sense of the abuser, like, all right, well, I can't get to this one person, so I'm gonna get to this person. So there definitely could be.
It. This event, right? Real quickly, this event comes off the heels of Georgia and the Democrats taking the Senate back.
That was overshadowed almost because of this event.
In a weird way, but Georgia's listen.
Southern state. It was definitely a southern state.
You gotta be very careful about how the response and emotional response when people feel they're being wronged. I genuinely do believe that these people feel like they were wrong.
And my question is like, where and I know the answer, but where do you get that feeling from? Like, where does that come from? That comes from that sense of entitlement.
I mean, there's a sense of entitlement, but the leader of the free world has been telling you.
Yeah, that's true.
The leader of the free world's been telling you.
He said it beforehand, like, if I lose, it was rigged.
He's been setting this one up. So,
but like I said, see, this is where I get into blaming the individual, right? So we all watched the election and the tally of the votes, and we're watching it happen. And then, at one point he said, "Well, if you stop counting right now, I win by a landslide." Well, why would you stop counting the votes when everybody's vote should count? Then it was, well, no, keep counting out. He was just, at some point you have to look and say he's just swinging in the air, like he's reaching for something.
It's the buckshot approach. I'm gonna just throw everything I can against the wall and see what sticks.
So at what point do you say like, yo, like, nah, I don't know. I'm following this person, but I don't really know if they know what they're doing.
I mean, but what you're asking then is something that people have a tough time, right? Like who among us, like is the majority of us just willing to be like, I was wrong. The Trump thing, that was wrong. 4 years ago, I made a mistake.
Well, not even the whole thing, not even the whole Trump thing. I was wrong. Like, I'm just talking about him in that. Let's talk about that one moment that during this election, like, bro, like he's saying different things at different times. That doesn't even make sense. At what point do you look and say, or do you just say, you know what? Yeah, he's right, and then it changes. Oh yeah, he's right about that too.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing about certain times when politicians and the power of platforms and influence. I like when you get people believing, you can get this type of energy. You can really get this. Like I was having a conversation with a mentor of mine, and this was maybe a month ago. And I compared his energy to the energy of like an Adolf Hitler. Not because of what they've done is the same, but it's an energy. It's a type of leader that assumes leadership and is infallible. I don't even know the word, but cannot be wrong, flawless, right? It's a God
complex.
Yeah, it's an energy that certain types of people are really attracted to. And I think that's what you have now. You have this leader who is not a very good leader, and he has these qualities that really attracts mobs of people,
certain energies.
And it could be problematic. So I think, I mean, he tweeted something about, there's not going to be something about the transition.
Yeah, but then he recanted that and said that it'll be a peaceful transition. But then he said, well, I won't be there at the inauguration. Like the guy's he's really all over the place.
Yeah, doesn't that make you wonder? Yeah, you got to get Trump out of there. Yeah, maybe you do, but what are you going to do with the millions of people that
still feel the same way? Yeah.
And that voted for, like, what are you going to do with them?
I don't know. You think they'll go back into hiding?
I don't know if they were in hiding to begin with. I think they were on their individual pockets doing exactly, having that same type of energy.
No, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly with all that. Like I said, it's a crazy situation. It was interesting to see it unfold on national TV.
Yeah.
It was interesting the different responses you got from watching it. From the security there to the people defending Trump supporters, saying, "Oh well, no, it wasn't really Trump supporters." To Trump supporters being there saying, "No, we're not such and such. We're pro-Trump." So it's definitely an interesting conversation, like you said. And when you have this conversation, you got to lead into the why. Like, why would it make sense for somebody else to do that?
Yeah, man. A very interesting next couple of weeks to see where we're gonna go moving forward. I know I think I seen a note left that there's something about this is not over, to paraphrase, or we're still something to that effect, leading you to believe that this was just the tip of the iceberg. So let's hope that these people, can take this L gracefully and just,
Do you think it's something, like I said, I already kind of asked this and we kind of answered, but do you think it's something as the people that we could just sit back and kind of keep our hands away, like has nothing to do with us, or should we be out there getting armed and getting trained? And
no, you absolutely got to do that. You got to get armed, you got to get trained, you have to be prepared for the worst, right? Be prepared for the worst and hope for the best.
I want to say this because a lot of people seem to think, oh, well, it won't happen here, like let's say in Jackson, because we ain't gone for that. It won't happen in certain neighborhoods. No,
and people don't even, and that's what I mean by you got to step in appropriately when it's time to step in.
But I'm gonna say this, like it really doesn't matter to them where it is.
Yeah, who wants to see bloodshed and people die over this gentleman?
Yeah,
gentleman, or this president.
Well, no, what I'm speaking on in general, like I said, my people like, oh well, it won't happen in Jackson because Jackson got too many black people, and they like, listen, there was a point where they rode around with the Confederate. It was a bunch of trucks actually rode around through Jackson with their flags flying. Now, did they stop and hop out and protest anywhere? No, but they rolled through Jackson.
Yeah, but war is, the point is we don't even want that energy. Nobody wants to see some civil war on American soil. Who the hell wants that?
But my warning is don't think because you live in a predominantly black neighborhood that it won't happen. It can't happen in your neighborhood.
That would be a bad idea, because if it was to be that, it's war. It's not going to be some fair. That's the thing with us. We always think somebody coming to shoot the fair one. Like, no. It'll be like, yo, you sleeping or you about to get off work, and they just like, it's not. We don't want that energy. Right? Hey, be prepared, but not listen. Nobody wants that. Come on, nobody wants that. Let's be cool.
Yeah, everybody be cool. Let's have let's talk about it. Let's go out for a drink and talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. And with that being said, be prepared for the worst, right? Because we don't. I mean, what these people have shown us is that there's not going to be much logic or reason behind some of the stuff that they're doing and saying.
And maybe it makes sense to them, but they didn't show it to me yet. So it don't make
I
sense
still can't. I'm having trouble, and I be looking. I be looking for the
sometimes
reason.
Sometimes you try to look at the other side's point of view, like, well, maybe, it's like the news being there, the Confederate flags being there at the Capitol. It don't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I can't.
Maybe one of y'all can reach out to me and explain it.
All right, come on, All Done Podcast. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, well, the news meant, I don't know. I don't know.
All right, so let's wrap this thing up, man. Where do we go from here? What's next?
What's next? We got to watch the system work, right? We got to trust and believe in the system. Is that what?
That's what I've always heard.
Yeah, so to the people out there protesting at the Capitol, believe in the system. You feel me? The system that was built that we trust. Believe in the system. You feel me? And the system will prevail, and it'll do you right. The system will always, do you right. But for real though, to wrap it up, to my people, be careful out there. Like we said, this individual situation, this situation right here wasn't quite our fight, but don't think it won't come our way. Eventually, there'll be a lash out toward us. So, like I said, be careful, but keep fighting the good fight for us. So keep doing stuff to make us better, helping us grow, helping us improve in everything we do to build us up. So when it does happen, we'll be prepared. That's where I'm at with it.
I feel that. This is America. I still would like to believe in the ideals of America. All that Constitution, liberties and justices for all, and all that type of beautiful flowery language. So let's continue to keep the lines of communication open, and let's continue to arm and protect ourselves while we keep those lines of communication open, right? There's nothing wrong with sitting down and having a conversation with individuals who may be of a different ideology, but also realize that certain people just can't change, right? So you unfortunately at this point in this country, you got to be aware of who you're around, because you don't want to lose your life or put yourself in danger because some nut didn't want to give up his seat of power, right? And has told his followers to do whatever they can to harm people who might think differently than him. Right. Again, that's the point of the country. A country like this is that you can have a diversification of thought, ideas, theories, right? And theoretically, everyone is welcome to practice and share. I think what we've seen is the only problem with that is if certain people's theories and ideologies are predicated on destroying other people. So then there's a conflict that kind of can't work there. And so you need to be aware of what's going on and understand the circumstances that we're living under.
Absolutely. Agreed.
So on that note, man, keep hope alive. And this podcast is All Done.
All Done.
See you next week.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I woke up this more than living my best life. And if it isn't, at least I gave it my best try. I'm just enjoying the moments cause ain't no next time. Trying to slide with my people on the west side. Yeah, moving different than all the rest cause I'm about doing it different. New vision.